Every town has a ghost story that's been passed down through the generations. But what if those legends were true? My name is Miranda Young, and I'm the Ghost Biker. Hey everybody, happy Thursday night. You are watching the Ghost Biker Garage live, and I am your host, the Ghost Biker, and I am just so excited to be back this week. If you watched last week's show, we had a great guest. We had Marty Siebel, and he was on here talking about the ghosts of Stanton, his ghost walk that he has, as well as his team, Black Raven Paranormal, and it was such a fun discussion. It was a longer show, but we talked about a lot of the really cool things that they've got going on there. I know they're ramping up with their spooky season, so we're real excited to have them on. I mean, we've just had some great guests this year and this season leading up to Ghost Biker Exploration Season 7. Can't believe it's already almost season 7 here. And we're doing just like we did last year. We're doing it live and hope that you guys will tune in and help make this one of the most interactive seasons yet. Last season was a first for me doing the entire season live. I used to do live streams all the time during back before I started Ghost Biker Explorations, but it's been really refreshing to be able to carry that in to the actual season and be able to interact with everyone. So thank you all so much. Also, if you were watching our show that we do over at the historic Scott County Jail during the last hour, the Jailhouse Informant podcast, we had the guys from Haunted Discoveries on, and I don't think I've made the announcement on my page yet, but I know that I did talk about it on my personal page. I know we did kind of tease about this a little while back, but the TV show Haunted Discoveries filmed at the historic Scott County Jail, and I'm excited to announce that they're actually going to be releasing the episode, season 3, episode 5. They're going to be releasing it this coming Saturday on Haunt TV, which is you can watch that if you've got a smart TV. You can stream that live. It's going to be at 6:12 p.m. Eastern time. And what's cool about this is they normally broadcast the episodes on T&E, which is their international platform. And then the folks here in the U.S. don't get that until I think they broadcast it on Fridays, and then it streams here in the U.S. on Saturdays. But this week they're actually getting it here in the U.S. first. So we're really excited to see what they capture. We've got if you've not been following Haunted Discoveries and their past seasons, then you're totally missing out. It's got ghost hunters Mustafa and Brandon, and then also, of course, Kevin, Audie, and Malia. It's just a great crew, and they have great approach with their investigating. And so we had those guys on the show during the last hour. So if you want to learn a little bit more about them, definitely go check that out. You can watch the replay on the Historic Scott County Jail Facebook page, YouTube channel, and also over on Historic Rugby After Dark. So we'll talk a little bit more about that here a little bit later. But just want to make a few more announcements about a couple cool things that's going on. If you're looking for something fun to do next, let me get this pulled up here on the screen. If you're looking for something kind of fun to do next weekend, we've got the author J.H. Gason, who wrote the book High Wind's Quest for Rome. He's going to be doing a meet and greet at the historic Scott County Jail from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern time on September 7th. He's going to be there signing books. You can also purchase his book. It's the second edition re-release there of the book. And so it talks about probably one of our most infamous lynchings that took place there at the jail, the lynching of Jerome Boyett and Harvey Winchester, as well as the Coal Wars there. So it's just a fascinating read, and to be able to meet Gason himself, ask him questions, and have him sign your book in the jail where several of the events took place is just a really cool thing. So we've got that information up on the website. We've also got all of our tours and stuff on there. Got it super loaded up for September and October. We've got guided ghost hunts, flashlight tours, lantern tours. We've opened up our ghost walk there in Huntsville, which is a 45-minute ghost walk through the town of Huntsville, ending with an hour and a half long flashlight tour of the jail. We've got flashlight tours. We've got 2 tours there at Historic Rugby. And then, of course, we've got our private paranormal investigations. And we're adding an extra hour for the investigations on during the month of September there at the jail. It's at the jail only. If if it's successful, we may carry that into spooky season there in October. But for the folks who have already booked in September, surprise, you're going to get an extra hour. If you're looking for something to do, we do still have some. I think we got one Saturday available, and then but we've got a couple Fridays and Sundays. So if you're looking for somewhere cool to investigate here during spooky season, we hope you'll plan to join us. All right, so just want to say hello to the folks over here in the chat room before we get to tonight's guest, because it's going to be another show where we get to share evidence and get to share captures and that sort of thing. And so those are always a lot of fun. So hello to Miss Nancy Weems, Addie Cook. I hope you're doing well. A good evening again to you, Mr. Bob Burnell. Thank you so much for tuning in. And again, thank you folks for that. Watched our last show. It's good to see y'all again. Susan Purcell, hope you're doing well. And then, of course, Mr. Daryl Paulette there with Clover Hill Village. And then, of course, we've got the legendary Mr. Vinny Vineyard. And, that sounds about right. So thank you so much for watching. I need to get you guys back on the show. I know we had you there on the Jailhouse Informant. I've got to get you and Luke back on the show here talking about your investigation at the jail. Hello to Mr. James Brady and of course Miss Jolly Goins. Thank you so much here for watching. Sylvain, it is always good to see you. Thank you so much for tuning in here. And if you have any questions for myself or tonight's guest, please put them in all caps so that I can make sure as we're going throughout that that I don't miss that as we as we have our conversation. Sometimes when we get to sharing evidence and talking, the comments scroll through and I just want to make sure that I don't miss anyone. Miss Janet Alms, Kim Brady, hello, Ronnie Anderson, Vinny. I think I don't know who's drunk, but um, you know. And of course, Mr. Michael Lasciana. So again, thank you all so much for watching. So I'm not going to waste any more time here. I want to go ahead and get to tonight's guest because I'm so looking forward. I've been looking forward to chatting with her for a while now. Had the opportunity to actually meet her in person whenever she did an investigation with Mr. Vinny Vineyard and the rest of the guys from Wrestling with Ghosts when they investigated the jail last year around Christmas time. I was able to meet her in person, and I've since followed her videos that she's put out. And, I love my content creators, but I definitely love highlighting these female content creators because I feel like, we have to work pretty hard for what we do. And she puts out some great videos. She's a very talented investigator and very talented with some of the other things that she does, which we're going to talk about a little bit. So if you will, please help me in welcoming Miss Kandi.
Hello.
Hey, again, thank you so much.
Me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. So I'm really excited that you've shared some evidence with us tonight, which we'll get to all that in a little bit. But I love it whenever folks, are able to watch and see some of the content that's put out. So guys, if you're watching, definitely be sure to wear your headphones and stuff. But some of this you don't even need headphones to hear because it's great captures.
Yeah, it's better with headphones, but you can definitely hear some of this stuff without it.
Yeah. So let's kind of jump back a little bit and tell me about yourself, Kandi, and how you got started on your paranormal journey.
Oh wow. So It's been a really long one. I have to say, when I was a kid, I used to be completely fascinated when I would like sit around the table at my grandma's house listening to my dad and his uncles talk about these old legends and stuff. And it completely fascinated me. And I've always been just drawn to it. And then I had my first really paranormal experience with the Hat Man. So, and one of my
Ah.
videos that we're gonna kind of touch on tonight is about the Hat Man. But the Hat Man was my first real encounter, and it really like creeped me out. And then I became more like I guess I've always been kind of empathic, I guess you would say, and where I could feel energy and that energy would translate into messages and images and everything. So I've just always had like a love for it. And I remember being like about 18 years old and looking at ghoststudy.com. This is back when like the
Oh,
computers were
yeah.
boxes and I had a gateway that I was paying like $300 a month for. So, so yes, I remember ghoststudy.com and I was like, it's so fascinating, like looking at the pictures and everything. And I've always knew I wanted to do it. Me and my husband got together about 11 years ago, and we bought a spirit box, and that's kind of where it all started. And we started going to like cemeteries and places that we heard were haunted, and we picked up like the most fascinating, like, I mean, intelligent, crazy intelligent responses just from that alone. And I mean, I could talk about this kind of stuff like all night, so I'm trying to give you the short version.
No, you're fine, you're
but
fine.
but ever since then, I've just had a love for it, and I just started actually legit doing the YouTube thing.
Mhm.
It was, I think it was last January, wasn't it? Or is this my second year coming up? Oh wait, 2022. Yep. So 2 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
think you were about a year into it whenever you came to the
I
jail.
started doing it. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and your
Yeah.
channel's grown quite fast. I mean,
It
for,
did.
yeah,
I
yeah.
had a I had a little run-in with a viral video that I made that had nothing to do with ghosts, and it totally took down my algorithm for the longest time. But it's kind of getting back there now. Ignore the Candyland at the top. I've changed it, but it takes a few days for it to change. So
I like that though, and you what I really like about your videos, I mean, they're good, solid videos where they're not overly long,
yeah,
and they're not overly long, but they're not short like a quick TikTok or anything like that.
right.
But you do a really good job of covering covering what's happening in the moment and
Yeah,
telling a complete story, but without overwhelming the viewer with, just a, a lot to just fill time, if that makes
right.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It's sometimes it can be really drawn out and painful when you're just sitting there in darkness, and I'm like, we can shorten this. So that's why I don't watch. There's a lot of videos on there, and I want to. I want to commit to like 2 and 3 hours of watching a video, but
Yes.
in my fast-paced life, owning a business, I don't have 3 hours to spare. So, but
I'm the same way. I hardly
yeah,
have an hour that I can
it's
spare
crazy.
to do that. And normally
Yeah,
when I watch videos, it's when I'm sitting down to eat
yeah,
and
yep,
or going to lay down to go to bed, and
yep,
I'll throw a video on because I feel bad because I don't always get to watch all of my
absolutely.
friends' videos. But that's what I like about that, because that's how I had originally set mine up. Was I wanted it to be something to where if somebody's taking a break at work, that they
Yeah,
can watch it in 15 to 20 minutes, or they can sit down and get
absolutely.
a good condensed version in
Yeah.
like a 30-minute lunch or something.
Yeah, that's exactly my goal. I don't want to like prolong the suffering. Let's just keep it short. This happened and this happened. It wasn't a lot of times too, like you'll go to a place and the occurrences are few and far between,
Yes.
and you don't want to bore people and just have them lose interest altogether. So I always feel like it's just a lot better. And I do like the artistic composition of it too. I have a lot
Mhm.
of fun with like editing my videos and
Yeah.
just yeah, it's just I make it kind of a production, so I have a lot of fun doing that. I would probably do a whole movie if I could, if Vinny would
I
let me.
I understand that, and we'll talk a little bit more about your connection with those guys here in just a little bit. But, kind of jumping back, talking about the Hat Man, that's That had to be a pretty scary or intense experience because, I mean, he's one of them
Mm.
that, I mean, that's legendary, that when
Yeah.
people experience him. So that
Yeah.
would have to be pretty creepy to have experienced that at a young age.
You know, that what's really interesting about Hatman is that most people who experience Hatman, or a good majority of them, are teenagers. So it's almost like a teenage phenomenon. And I wonder what it is. Like, I have so many questions about Hatman. Like, who is he? Why does he just stare at you and not move? You know, like, what are you looking at? Seriously, you're looking into my soul. The guy that I saw had red eyes. So just
Wow.
staring at me with his eyes, just it was absolutely creepy.
Do you find that your experience that you had with Hat Man is similar to experiences that other teenagers have had?
Totally. Yeah. Like,
Okay.
and there's some people who see him with a fedora, and some people see him with like different types of hats. I saw him with a top hat. That was my personal experience, was a top hat, and
Okay.
he was very slender, and he had like a long straight coat. And I remember when I woke up, it was like I didn't remember going to sleep, and I looked and I could see him just standing like maybe 5 feet outside of my doorway, just staring at me. And I just remember feeling fear literally like go down my spine. It was like one of those things. And I was like,
Wow.
just turn over and you won't see him anymore. And I did. So it wasn't like sleep paralysis, because I remember I
Yeah.
rolled over. And then after that, I was just awake and I was like, I don't remember going to sleep. I don't, like, it was like a lost time type situation. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Very weird.
That's weird because and interesting because my sister experienced Hat Man at my house that I used to live in Cleveland. And
Yeah.
she's a physical therapist, and so she was doing a clinical at the time. So she wasn't a teenager, but she was very, very early 20s. Just out of she had just
Yeah.
gone to medical school. So she's in
Scary at
early
any
20s.
age. Scary at
Yeah.
any age.
Well, and hers was weird because, the way my house was set up is like it was an old 70s split level house. So she was on
Yeah.
the upper level and it was just getting dark. You know that time of evening whenever almost like the golden hour when there's more
Yeah.
shadows in the house, but a little sunlight coming in? Okay,
Mhm.
she was coming out of the bathroom, and when you come out of the bathroom into the main hall, you either look to the left and there's where the stairs come up and you can go into the kitchen, or you
Yeah.
look to the right and that's where all the bedrooms were. And so she said she came out and she said that there was a man wearing a long coat and a top hat and
Mhm.
that he came up
Yeah.
the steps and it was just
Wow.
quick enough that he passed by her in the hall, and she
Oh,
looked over, she
wow.
saw him, and he went into my kitchen, and so she froze when it happened and then went into the
Gosh.
kitchen, and he hadn't gone out, and but there was nobody in there, and there was a glass that was sitting on the counter, and it had been turned on its side, and it was just laying there.
Wow. That's
And
just so strange.
it was disturbing to her.
Unexplainable. And, like, she
Yeah.
described it the same way I did, the top hat and the long coat. So weird.
Yeah. And she said he was shadowy. He wasn't solid, but he wasn't
Yeah.
transparent either.
Very weird. And
Yeah.
see, like, the place that my parents live, I actually would love to go ghost hunting there, because it was the tree in this town that was a hanging tree was
Oh,
actually only, I'd say, 50 feet away from my bedroom. So I
oh,
often like wondered, like, was that like an undertaker with the top hat and the coat? So that's one of my explanations for it. Like, maybe it was something like that. And but I mean, I don't know, because so many people have seen the same guy. And it's
that's
almost like
true.
that guy that there you, I don't know if you've ever seen like the picture of what they call this man. If you Google
Yes.
this man,
Oh, this man
so
is that's so
so creepy.
creepy.
So creepy. I do not want to have a this man experience. I'm
No,
good without that.
that's one that gives me cold chills whenever
Totally.
I think about
Just
this
beyond
man
cold
because
chills.
they they talk about in your dreams. I saw a study and I don't know if this is true, but they say that
Yeah.
like you won't dream of somebody that you haven't seen before because the mind
Right.
can't just
Right.
create a person.
Where did
And
we see
so,
this guy?
uh-huh.
What back alley have we seen this guy?
Exactly. So if that's what they say is true, then
Mm,
and who are this they, But if that's what they say
yes.
is true, then are we experiencing some type of spiritual phenomenon when we dream
Right.
about something like that, since we're not able
Such.
to make up, faces with our
Right.
minds?
And that's such a legit experience. Like
Hmm.
this psychologist, the guy drew him, right? I think he drew him or either
Yeah.
described him, and then he sent it to his friend, and they send it to like a lot of people, and all of the patients and stuff were like, "I've seen this man."
Yeah.
So like so creepy. Yeah. That's
Uh,
one of the ones that just like I don't want anything to do with this man.
no, and now probably since we're talking about it, our phones are going to hear it, and then also probably we'll end up
Yes.
dreaming about it tonight just because
Yes.
we were
It-
talking about it.
it's implanted psychologically or subconsciously.
Exactly. So just kind of looking over here to make sure that I've not missed any comments here. Ronnie says that he has experienced Hat Man or Slender Man a few years ago with a top hat. That's interesting. And then let's see. Bob says, I remember seeing one Hat Man who had a Clark Kent type, or
Oh
who was
yeah.
a Clark Kent. I can't even talk tonight. That he had, let's see, that he was upstairs and saw with his eye for a second, caught on camera. Wow, that's interesting. So,
The Sorrow Hat. Mm.
huh.
You know, my dad actually saw Hat Man as well when he was a kid, and that used to be one of the stories that he told me, which creeped me out. But my Hat Man was a lot different. His was the fedora, like gangster. He had like the flipped up collar, like the Dick Tracy collar. And he saw
Okay.
him and his brother both saw him walk into their room when they were maybe young teenagers and turn and go walk into the closet and disappear. So that was one of their Hat Man experiences. Strange.
So that's interesting. So was your family supportive of being
Yeah.
into the paranormal?
Um, to an extent, like they know that they can't do anything about it. I'm doing it. I'm of age, we'll say that. So but to make my own decisions.
Right.
But my dad is a Pentecostal preacher. I was
Oh,
raised
okay.
Pentecostal. So they
Okay.
don't like to mess around too much, if you know what I mean. Which I
Yeah.
personally don't feel that I dabble with anything dark. I just
Yeah.
explore what's already there and view it and record it. That's pretty much what
Yeah.
I do. I don't really like go in there and go, oh, let's go full on seance or anything like that. Because I'm not really trying to get you to invade my body. I'm good without that.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
There's reasons we don't allow the human pendulum and stuff like that at the jail, and there's just
Right.
certain
Yeah.
things we don't allow, and
Oh,
maybe
that's
some of
good.
that is
Yeah.
because of our personal beliefs between me and my
Sure.
business partner, Chris, but I'm with
Absolutely.
you. I'm the same way. My dad was a deacon in the Baptist church
Hmm.
and a Sunday school teacher there. And so it is
Yeah.
interesting
Yeah.
in that respect, that it's like I'm like you, I don't do seances and that sort of thing.
Right.
But
Yeah. Me.
um just trying to see, what
I don't mess with Ouija boards either. No.
same,
Nothing. Like,
same.
see, and I try to explain that to people when they're like, well, if you do spirit boxes, what's the difference? And I'm like, well, spirit box, I feel like is picking up what's really already there. And to me, Ouija board is a physical contact where you're saying, take my hands and use me, So it's just a whole different, you're letting it get physical with you. And
You're
I've,
essentially
I've only
becoming a
had bad
medium.
experiences with Ouija boards, and I could go through a list of those too, but not, yeah, never had a
Yeah.
good experience. So,
Yeah. I don't use Ouija boards.
yeah.
I think they're beautiful, and I think the concept
Sure.
behind them
Yeah.
is interesting. And when you start looking at the history of how it evolved, it's
Yeah.
interesting. And people can tie all of that together with the
Mhm.
dowsing rods, pendulums, Ouija boards, and stuff. But
Yeah, and it's whatever you
um,
feel safe with. Each individual, it's up to you. If you feel safe doing that, I personally, I can't do that because I'm a
yeah,
mother, so I'm like I've got to have like I've had attachments before. I will say that, or I'll say an attachment. I had one attachment, and it was not nice and not a pleasant experience. So it was a guy that followed me home. I call him a guy. It was a thing that followed me home from a graveyard, and like
wow,
that was a weird, this was in like 2000 and I want to say like 10 maybe years ago, and that kind of, yeah, definitely freaked me out. It was to the point where this, like, it was like I was being told at one point I saw a penny on the ground, and this is no joke. And it said, if you
Oh,
go pick that penny up, it's going to have your birthday on it. And I'm like, okay, this is how I know if this is real or in my head. I go and pick up the penny, and it's literally my birth date. And I was
no
like, no,
way.
yeah, seriously. I was like, no, yeah. And I can feel these things. I even knew what this thing looked like. I knew where he would stand beside me. I went to my parents to have them to pray it away, and they started praying, and we all felt it go out. We were like, it left. But in my mind, I knew that it was outside and it was standing beside the tree, and I had to get rid of it, right? That was the whole thing. But when I went outside, it just followed me back home again. And I knew that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get rid of this thing myself. And I looked up and did a lot of research on how to do it. And
Yeah.
essentially just for my personal preference was praying
Yeah.
and actually talking to Michael the archangel. And I believe that these beings have power, and
Mhm.
I'm a follower of Christ. People probably
Mhm.
don't agree with my position with like like hunting ghosts and following Christ, but I'm all
Same.
about the love, man. I don't care what you do. You're responsible for your own soul. I don't care. I love you all. That's just my bottom line. But
Yeah.
I prayed it away, and that was how I kind of conquered that, and it was gone, never came back.
Well,
So
and that's really, I mean, that's how what I've always experienced with that too is it's
yeah,
about yeah, you can go in and help people in the homes, help identify what's there,
yeah,
but it's about empowering that
it
person
is.
themselves. They're the ones
Yeah.
that have to get rid of that attachment.
Absolutely. I 100% believe that. I think that you
Yeah.
have to get a certain spiritual strength inside of you,
Mhm.
because that stuff, it really, in that sense, I'll say it's not anything to play with, because
No.
it can cause strange things to happen, and weird mental things, so
Mhm.
but I feel like these days I'm a different person. It would be a lot harder for something to latch onto me because I'm just not in the same mind state. I was a kid then, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm not even in that mind state. So I feel protected. I feel good. When I
Mhm.
go to places, I'm like, I'm good. I feel safe. I don't really feel scared or anything. So
And it's hard to explain that.
it is.
It's
Yeah.
hard. It's something you just know.
Yeah, it
You know,
is.
you really do. It
Yeah.
really is that personal relationship,
Yeah.
that personal safety that you have there built up through your faith or
Right. Yeah.
whatever works for you, you know, but
Sure. Yeah.
yeah. Now, so you'd mentioned cemeteries.
Yes.
Do you like investigating cemeteries?
I'm gonna tell you, I feel like there are spirits so active in cemeteries. I do go to quite a few cemeteries, like in my videos. I think there's at least maybe 3 or 4 in there, but I have always gotten, I would say, good luck. But you can
Mhm.
also cemeteries, you can be really tricky because there can be bad spirits there too. But all the cemeteries that I've been to. Uh, Oh, let's see. I did Alice Flag, and that's near Georgetown, Mullins area, I believe. Not
Okay.
Mullins, Myrtle's Inlet, excuse me, Myrtle's Inlet. And
Okay.
that one was a pretty cool cemetery. I actually saw like ghosts there with my eyes, and of course the camera doesn't pick it up, but I'm like, I see you standing there. I talked to him. I was like, I saw you standing there. I saw 2 ghosts there. So there are certain places that I go and I can actually see things, and that is rare. And like I don't,
Mhm.
that's why I don't take it lightly. If I do see something, I'm like I'll tell my husband, I'm like I just saw something here. And usually a lot of times when I see something, it's backed up by other things. Like there was one instance where I went to this bar. This was years ago, not to go drink. I was out in the
Yeah.
car, and my ex at the time was going in and talking to them about a job that he was going to do, construction. So
Okay.
I'm sitting there waiting for him to come out, and I see this guy come outside, and I can tell you what he was wearing. He walks to the edge of the bar and completely vanishes, and he was so real. So I look everywhere, and I watch this guy vanish with my own eyes. And I go into the bar, and I'm like, "You guys have a ghost." And they said, "All right, what does he look like?" And explained what he looked like, and they said, "Oh, you've seen Junior Watts," and they named this guy, and they said,
Nice.
They said, let me tell you what happened to him. They said when he walked around the corner back there, somebody hit him over the head with a brick and killed him. And that's literally where I
Okay.
saw him disappear. So I've had like instances where like that happens where somebody's like, yes, you did see that because this reason. So I don't feel like it's just, something that's like, oh, I'm not really seeing anything. I truly, I believe in my abilities.
Well, that's cool, and that's stuff that takes a while to kind of,
It does.
hone in and get used
Mhm.
to. So have you always had that ability, or is that something that you found at a later age?
It was I've always had an ability to sense things, and maybe it didn't come across to me in that type of visual way until I was older, because I can't fully remember like actually like seeing things. I think the first time I started actually seeing things like that was um I don't know. I've seen like I used to see shadows and stuff like that. So maybe that was part of it. And these days I feel like I'm just more hyper aware, maybe.
Okay.
So I don't really remember the first time that I ever saw anything. I guess the Hat Man would be the first time. And then as far as like seeing ghosts and stuff, it would be almost like I could see it within, like, if you want to say like your third eye. Like
Yeah.
most of the time it was like that. Like I'd see it within my mind and not see. It's just so hard to explain. It's energy. It's almost like I see
Mhm.
energy. And I've
Okay.
seen like full body apparitions. And like I said, that guy, I one time was riding down a road in Gatlinburg and I saw this old farmer walking down the road beside me. And I'm like, oh, he looks interesting because he looked old timey. So I look in the rear view to see him and it says field and there's nobody there, you know?
Oh, that's
So
cool.
it's just different things. Like it just comes and goes. Like I never am going to know, like, am I going to see something? Like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
So, like, it's few and far between, but I do see things sometimes.
Now, do your kids, well, you said you're a mother, do you believe that that's something that's passed along, and do you see that
Yes.
in your
Yes,
kids?
totally. My mom's always saw things, and my
Okay.
kids, they have seen things in this house. This house is over 100 years old.
Okay.
So we have several ghosts here, and I think that's what kept messing with my light up here. It wouldn't turn on anymore. I kept turning, and I charged it completely, so I just gave up with that. But I do have ghosts in here, and there's one that's very playful, but he can be very ornery too. And these ghosts I have seen, we've all seen them. So yeah, and multiple people
Okay.
that have come over here have seen them too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looks like we've got a question here from Carl. He says, "How do you walk the fine line between religious belief and the paranormal?" And you kind of I kind of answered that a little bit, but I wanted to make sure I got to Carl's question.
Because the religious belief is paranormal. Think about it,
That's right.
because like you're holding on to a belief and some things you haven't seen, like you haven't seen a ghost and you're thinking it's there, and you have some feelings, like it's kind of the same way. I honestly don't worry about what other people think about my beliefs too. A lot of times I feel like your religious beliefs are just something so personal, and I never get involved with anybody else's. And I just feel like that's one of those things where, to me, if somebody says, oh, you're going to hell for this, like, who are you to tell me? Like,
Yeah.
who are you to tell me? Just I'll work that out. I have a very special relationship with my maker, so I'm good.
It
But
is a personal relationship, and,
totally.
so I like how you answer that, and I hope that answers your question, Carl, because it's such a personal thing. It's not for
Yeah.
any of us to judge how someone
Well,
else's,
most religious people don't believe in ghosts and they won't allow themselves to. And they
yeah.
believe that, you either go to heaven or either that's pretty much it, right? You go to heaven or hell.
Mhm.
And so there's no in between. But I don't know. I feel like there was in the Bible, it speaks about uh 7 levels of heaven and like all this.
Mhm.
Like we have no idea what's on the other side. And I feel so tiny talking about it, even because the only thing I can ever say for a fact is that I don't know. So
Right. Right.
that's for a fact.
Well, and I mean, if you look at how many times the Bible mentions the word ghost, I mean,
Yeah,
ultimately,
totally.
the
Yeah.
ultimate Holy Ghost,
And
and
it
then
says mind, body, or soul, body, and spirit, right? Soul, body,
that's right.
spirit, in three parts. Yeah.
And we get a lot of people that come into the jail that, because we are in the middle of the Bible Belt. You're here
Hmm.
in the South too. So I
Oh, yeah.
mean, you get it, and
Totally.
it's we're constantly having to explain ourselves, and that's
Yes.
one of the things that personally that I believe there is a difference in the obviously in the physical, but then in
Yeah.
the spirit as well as the soul. And
Yeah.
that's, a conversation for a whole other time. But I think that what we experience a lot of the time, there is a major difference
Yeah.
between all of
There
those
is.
things.
Totally. I totally
Yeah.
agree with that. We're multifaceted people.
Exactly, exactly. So let's kind of transition a little bit more and tell me about some of the other things that you do. You're an author
I
and
am I'm an aspiring author, but I write a lot. I have three novels that I've written, all part of a trilogy, A Mirror Darkly, and I'm working very hard these days on getting that published. I have actually been numbingly going through agents and trying to get it out there. And I really have high hopes for it, though. I've been writing since I was 12 years old, and it's been not just a hobby of mine, it's been an everyday passion since I was 12 years old. Like I've always found time to like write. If I'm not writing, I'm editing what I wrote. Just working towards that being one of the main things that I do in my life. I'm like really excited about it.
wonderful. And so, folks, definitely go on. We've got the links to Candy's pages here in the show notes, but
Yes.
definitely go check out Paranormal Candy. They're on Facebook as well as Paranormal Candy there on YouTube. And folks, I guess once you get things kind of figured out on the release of your books, I guess that where
Yeah.
you will share that information. Is there on your Facebook?
I I will, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And my Facebook too, they can always like add me. And if you do add
Okay.
me, just send me a message so I'll accept you because there's a lot of weirdos out there. I don't just add everybody.
Truth. That is so true.
But follow
Um,
too. When you do add, hit follow just so I can get that number for you.
yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I mean, I we say it every week on the show with our content creators. I mean, so much time, whether you're putting videos together, writing novels,
Yeah,
whatever you're doing, being a content creator, it is not easy. And
it
those
is.
likes, follows, and shares, they're so important and
Absolutely. Yeah.
really help in get because otherwise, if the contents, I mean, obviously we all do it for different reasons, but
Yeah.
if you're taking the time to put the stuff out there, just give a little like, follow, and share because
It
that
means a
goes a
lot.
long way.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So we're going to show some of your videos here in a few minutes, but I want to because we were talking about this before we went live. I got to meet you whenever you came with the guys
Yes.
from Wrestling with Ghosts there at
Yes.
the
Such a
historic
cool
Scott
place.
County Jail. Well, thank you, thank you. Before we talk about the investigation, how did you end up getting connected with those guys? Because you do a little bit of acting, right?
Yeah, I do. I'm in our first movie that we did. It's called The Hike, and all of our other movies following are getting better and better and better, and they're all really good. They're hilarious. It may be a little bit of inside humor here and there, like where everybody's like, "What?" But other than that, it's great. But I actually met Vinny and Travis in 2018 when I was working at Pigeon Forge at the Scenic Helicopter Tour office there in Pigeon Forge. And they
Okay.
came in because I had a one of those wild waving inflatable flailing arm tube man guys out front, and they wanted to borrow him so that I think it was Travis could hump it. I don't know why. So, and that's the circumstances in which we met. And then I started like eventually we all talked, and they all thought that I was okay for a chick. And
That sounds like them.
they invited me to Wrestling with Ghosts, and that's kind of like history, man. They've been great. They're a part of my family. I'm telling you, They are my brothers. Absolutely 100%. Those guys I can definitely count on, my heart and soul. Family, absolutely. And we have a ghost hunting thing too, wrestling with ghosts that I've just
Yep.
mentioned. So we're gonna have a new episode, and Vinny's gonna kill me, but I suddenly, oh, Greenback Castle from Greenback, Tennessee.
Ah.
That is coming up one this month. I'm not sure. Vinny's gonna kill me for that also. If he can type it in the comments, he'll let you all know. Just check the comments. But it's coming either this month or within the next couple of weeks.
Well,
So that one is a good.
I need to definitely get them back on the show because I love those guys, you know, and
Yeah,
what I really like about them is just their energy. I mean, you might look at that,
absolutely.
you share the story, you know, about, you know, meeting them because they wanted to hump your inflatable, but you know, it's like, and there's always some kind of weird, crazy story around anybody that's had some kind of contact with these guys.
These guys.
But when you get to know them and actually see them with their investigating, it's really quite brilliant, the
They
tactics
are.
that they use on their
Absolutely.
investigating,
The
because, I
fart
mean,
machine.
yeah, I
The
know,
fart
right?
machine.
I mean, I can't believe I used the word brilliant and Vinny in the same sentence. But, I mean, it really is because, you know, it just goes to show that, you know, positive energy, whether you're reacting in a place that, you know, we had negative, heavy things that happened at this jail, everything from
Yeah.
murders and lynchings and all
Yeah.
kinds of crazy stuff. But to use that positive energy to bring
Yes.
out responses, and
It's
it's really
amazing.
unique. Yeah, and outside the box. So
It
I
is.
definitely love, you know, I definitely love what they do. And
They
you
are
know,
amazing. Yeah. And
yeah.
the thing about their like their comedy and stuff is like we are all ridiculous. Like all of us. So when I also do videos, it's in part comedy because there are times when I don't take anything seriously, and that's just the little child in me that always wants to come out. So I'm always like cracking jokes and I can't be serious. But Vinny and Luke, they take it to their whole brand of level. You know, they've got their own thing, and it's absolutely wonderful. Yeah, I'm
And Vinny
happy to be
says
a part
next
of it.
week.
Next week. It's next week at or showing the Greenback Castle. We went and investigated there. That place is absolutely awesome. If anybody does it, if you don't know about the Greenback Castle, go Google it, YouTube it. This guy that has actually made this with his, he actually took, if people would drop off bricks and stuff, he started just making castle with it. Literally just started making a castle. He had leftover stuff. He had bottles in the walls. It was created with like the bottle ends of like beer bottles and stuff. This guy was wonderful and eccentric and very sweet, pleasant guy. He's very elderly. I don't know if he goes out there to greet anybody anymore when you go up there, but when we were going, he did. He would go out and talk to us about it. But he's a really cool guy.
Yeah, and I mean, I've not had the opportunity to go yet, but I've always heard and seen some great photos and videos
Yeah,
from people who have visited there, and it looks like several people on here that have been as well.
cool place.
Um,
Yeah.
let's see. Vinny says, "Don't forget we're hiking to Proctor."
Yes, we are. I'm actually
Wow.
I'm a little nervous about that. I've actually never camped overnight, so we are hiking and camping at the end of September. And I've got my bear spray. I will say that I've got my bear spray, and I'm just still trying to figure out how I'm going to eat snacks without attracting bears. That's all I worry about. I want to have my snacks, man.
That's the best part about ghost hunting
That's
is the
yeah,
snacks.
you gotta have snacks.
You know,
But
so
I'm probably gonna have to like fast because I'm not terrified of bears, but I'm terrified of bear encounters. I'll say that. I do still pick the bear though. I'm just kidding.
and Vinny says, "Oh, you have to charter a boat to get there." That's pretty cool.
Yes, yes. I'm good with the boat. I don't know. I'm gonna have to bring a life jacket too. All the
And
stuff
I'm
I'm gonna be carrying.
and I'm sure y'all will be documenting the whole thing.
Yes, we are. That's going to be one of
Nice.
our Wrestling with Ghosts episodes because Proctor was it the town that was flooded out, or they actually had to like leave because they couldn't really get to it anymore, so they had to abandon the city there. That was
I think so,
near
yeah.
Fontana or Lake Fontana. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we'll
Yeah.
definitely be looking forward to seeing when that comes out. Um,
Yes.
but you guys had we've showed several of the different clips there from your all's time there at the jail,
Yeah.
but you got some really cool EVPs and had a couple interesting experiences just there at the jail itself.
Yeah. Definitely. We had I mean the pendulum thing that it was like inside of the jar, and the handcuffs were just swinging and they wouldn't stop swinging. Like we tried to hold our
That's
hand like under
right.
it and over it just to see if it was an airflow issue, and that's when we heard the voice too. And then we go back and I'm like, let's go check out the pendulum. And my phone, I actually did not hit record on that, and I was like, I thought it was recording. I'm like, oh my god, look at this. But Amber luckily got footage of it, so I
Yeah.
was able to use her footage. But wow, it was the pendulum was nobody was in there. There had been nobody in there for a long time, and we were the only ones that walked in there, and that's pretty awesome.
That's right, because you all had split up. Half of you wanted to have the take the tour, and then the other
Yeah,
half wanted to kind of go in
right.
blind. And
Yep.
so I was up filming
They
with the
were all
tour.
upstairs. Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody was
yeah.
upstairs. Yep.
And that voice, and that's what's been really kind of cool, that child's voice that you
Hello.
captured. Yes,
Yeah.
that we experience a child on the first floor all the time,
Oh,
especially
wow.
women. Yeah.
Wow. I
And
wonder why.
we think it's a residual from back whenever, the kids used to live, with the families would live there on site,
Oh,
and
wow.
so we think it may
Didn't
be
know that.
residual, but they seem
Yeah.
to respond intelligently to females when they're in the
Wow.
building.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was just me and Amber there, so that would make sense.
Mhm.
And it was
Yeah.
crazy. It's the strangest thing is about that voice. When we were there, when we heard it with our ears, it was very soft, and when we recorded it, it was so loud. It was just like clear. And I was like, that's
Yeah.
weird just how it just picked it up so loud. And you
Mhm.
guys were on the
We
third
were.
story at that time, and we could hear you guys in the background, and it was a
Mhm.
totally different sound. It was not resonating the same at all. So and there was nobody
No.
else on there. Yeah.
And the distance
Yeah.
sounded very different too
It
on
did.
that.
It
Yeah.
sounded like it was right there with us, like right beside us. It was really
Mhm.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys definitely want to check out her episode that she did there at the jail. And we were always highlighting different pieces of evidence that people find there.
Yeah.
And so I'm just gonna kind of pull that up right there again so you can see it's right there under in her videos there. She was there back in December. So yeah, a lot of fun. But I want to get to some of the different some of the different videos that you shared with us. So
Okay.
what we'll do is I'm gonna pull these up here, and if you want to set it up before we play it, we'll kind of go from there. So the first
Absolutely.
one, let me get this ready. The first one is going to be Corners Folly here.
Okay. So Corners Folly is this little place outside of Greenville, around it. I can't remember exactly the name of the town, but it's around the Greenville, North Carolina area where Lexington, Thomasville is in that little region there. And
Okay.
it's spelled Korners, Corners Folly, Folly. And this, I didn't know we were actually going to go there. I wasn't doing a ghost hunt. I didn't even have any equipment or anything like that. Justin kind of surprised me the next day. He picked it out and he's like, we're going to go here after we had gone to see a show the night before. So we went to this place, and I mean, it was probably one of the most unique. And if you watch the video, like this place was absolutely stunning. The guy that lived there was an architect, and every part of the trim was extremely detailed, intrinsically detailed. Like we're talking, I mean, every little thing. This guy was amazing, probably a little eccentric, but I felt immediately when we went there. That's the first thing that came out of my mouth when I talked to the chick that was standing at the door. I'm like, "Is it haunted?" And she's like, "Well," she starts telling me the stories that happened there, and yeah, it sounds very haunted. She said that there would be a doll that she had Christmas lights around, and the lights would go off or on, and they ended up just moving it back up to the place that where it was, and it had actually belonged to one of the people that lived there, and it was built in the 1800s sometime. And so we go up to the very top, and there is a big theater area. They had a theater in their house with a full stage where they would do like puppet shows and probably other little shows. But when we're up there, you can clearly hear, and we were not expecting this. I was not expecting anything. I just walked through the building. We recorded, and it ended up being a paranormal video because of the EVPs we caught on it. Very clear EVPs. And then the footsteps walking across the stage that startled us, and that's in the video.
All right, so we're going to play this one here. Whoops. Give me a minute. I don't know why it... Let me retry adding that. I'm going to remove all these where I changed the name on them.
Oh,
yeah, I had everything keyed up here. All right, so here we go.
Yes, we do. Amazing. What? What is it? I just heard footsteps walking across the stage. That's what I said.
We'll play that one more time.
Yes, we do. Amazing. What? What is it? I just heard footsteps walking across the stage. That's what I said. Yeah. Yeah, you can
that's
clearly
wild.
see that we weren't moving. Justin literally just
Yeah.
turned around, and there's just footsteps across the stage.
Yeah, I mean, that was clear, and probably what, about at least 6 or 7, at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
If not,
Like a whole it just felt like somebody walked across the entire stage. Like it just, yeah. I was not expecting that at all.
yeah, I mean, did they have any idea who
It's Corner's
maybe...
Folly. Corner's Folly.
Did they have any idea of who maybe that was that you all were experiencing?
No, it's hard to say. He had so there was the man that lived there. He had a wife. I'm sure they had servants or what. I don't think that it was. I think it was past the slavery days. So they
Okay.
probably did have servants, though, I'm sure. But at one point, that's kind of strange. I was just thinking about that, like horses' footsteps, because at one point, part of the house was for the horses to walk through. It was very strange. The lady explained it and
Oh.
was like, so this whole part was a stable when you first walked in. It was really, really strange. But they ended up, the wife was like, no, we're not going to have horses coming through the house anymore. I can't imagine why. But she was done with that. So, but yeah, it was. He had, I want to say like 3 or 4 kids. I can't remember how many
Okay.
kids, but there's no telling. It could be any one of those people, but there was definitely
Okay.
some footsteps there. Yeah.
Very cool. Now, the next one we've got here is Hat Man.
And this one, so I wanted to kind of convey that, like, whenever I've started back doing my videos now. I'm actually going Monday to do a new video. So I want to do more of these kind of videos that I'm going to show you, where just like I piece together little things. And this is just one of my viewers' stories of Hat Man, their experience of it, which I thought was really creepy. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Whoops.
My Facebook friends reached out to me to share their story with me. And honestly, this is probably one of the scariest Hat Man stories I've ever read. I'm going to read it to you guys, and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so several years ago, my wife and I were in a bad place, arguing constantly if we spoke at all. I was sleeping on our couch during one of those arguments. I wake up to the smell of old, dirty clothing mixed with dirt. Best description I can give. Maybe a smidge of cigar/cigarette smoke. My eyes are wide open. The hall light is on. I can't move, like at all. My breathing is shallow, and it becomes more difficult. I start to freak out. That makes the breathing thing even worse. I'm facing the back of the couch, but I see this figure exactly like the one you posted out of the corner of my eye. I feel a weight behind me on the couch. In my left ear, I hear someone take a huge breath through his or its nose, almost unnaturally loud. I felt the air move across my ear. By this time, I'm in a cold sweat and losing it. I put everything I have into attempting to scream. It comes out as a pathetic moan. I do this a couple of times, and finally I hear my wife asking what the hell is going on in there. An instant later, the weight lifts itself from the couch, and there's a very clear stomping noise walking away from me towards my kids' room. My wife, already in a bad mood, yells out for me to quit, quote, stomping around in there, unquote. I can suddenly move normally, and I scream to my wife that it ain't me. So the kids are sleeping on the floor in our room a little later that night. I go to my son's room to sleep, not expecting to at all. Later, and he's just sitting there at the foot of the bed.
Oh, suspense.
Yes. Yeah,
I
you'll have to
like
check
that.
that one out.
So,
Yeah.
so, so some of the videos that you do are ones that I guess are reader submitted.
That was the first one that I did, and I
Okay,
want to do more of those. Yeah, definitely, because I
nice.
can't. It's it's really hard to get out and go every week and go do a new thing.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason why I'd like to do that. And another part of the
Hmm.
reason is I love ghost stories. Like I love it, and I love being able to like piece together like the videos for it. And like I told you earlier, I really love like the editing process of doing these
Hmm.
videos and stuff. It's part of the to me it's one of the most fun parts about the video doing the videos is the editing for me. So a
Yeah, and
lot
I
of
mean
people
that
don't agree with that, but I love it.
I enjoy it as well, so I know what you
Yeah.
mean. I mean,
Yes.
that you really are bringing a really cool life to these stories
Yeah.
that, so I wish you a lot of luck on that and hope that,
Thank you.
can't wait to see more of those.
Thank
Now,
you.
let's see. So the next one is we got 2 more videos. One, we're gonna show now is Black Salem River.
Okay, so this one is honestly, you guys, this is probably my favorite piece of evidence, and it's like collaborating evidence. Okay, so you'll hear the spirit box, and one thing I do want to point out is the things that the ghosts are saying on the spirit box. A lot of times you can hear the spirits literally talking to each other, and you're talking. I'm a big believer in the spirit box. I really am,
Mhm.
because you're talking. This is going over radio stations, like
Yeah,
literally just hundreds actually of radio stations, and
yeah.
you're having a collaborating conversation where people are going, "Did you see that?" And somebody else is going, "No, I didn't see it." And then somebody else is saying, "I did." And I mean, it is like that. It's literally like that. They're saying, "How can that be the same radio station? And how can it be that perfect?" I can't possibly like. It's too much for me. It's too
Mhm.
much evidence. So for this one, this is what's amazing. Justin likes to use the Spirit Talker app on his phone, which I'm not ever like a really big fan of. We'll use it as
Mhm.
backup, and I'm like, okay, we'll use it. It's an app, so I don't trust it that much. But
Mhm.
this time, the app and the Spirit Box say the exact same word at the exact same time. It both says agitated. And that's all it says, agitated. And you can see it on the spirit. I got words up there, and I should have like made it clearer, but you can see past the words that it says on the screen, agitated, and you can also hear it on the spirit box where they both go overlapping each other saying agitated. So that's a really cool thing.
Huh. We'll talk about that here in a second because that's fascinating. I'm gonna play it
Totally.
here. Okay.
I'll tell you, when we go to graveyards, you get a lot of them coming through. It's always like they won't be quiet. They gotta speak one at a time. That's really hard. Why?
Is Ruby here?
Yeah. Ruby, are you okay where you are? I am. It scared me.
It scared you?
Agitated. Yeah, I jumped.
You just real jump.
I did.
What do you do, Ruby, out
I do
here?
feel like there's a lady over here. She is elegant.
All right. So that's incredible, really.
Yeah.
And because I'm with you, I have mixed feelings about some apps. I know that some of them are, some of them are much different than others, but for it to say the exact same thing at the exact same time, that's pretty incredible. Oops. I don't know if we lost me or if we lost Candy. Can you guys still hear me? If you all can, whoops, I think are you still there, Candy?
Oh, I'm
There we
back.
go.
I'm back. I'm so sorry.
Okay, no, you're fine. I didn't know
Okay.
if it was me because sometimes when the service is bad, it will you won't know if it's you or if it's somebody else.
I don't know what happened.
Perfect. Thank you all so much for confirming. So that's really wild that that happened, and again, I always like to kind of research how the apps are made, if they're using microphone, if they're on airplane mode, that sort of thing. But every now and then they'll kind of surprise you, and that's what a
Yeah,
great way to validate.
they do. Absolutely. Yeah. I've had a lot of incredible experiences with the spirit box. Even in my own house, the lady who lived here before, her name was Virginia, and
Mhm.
we've heard her name come through so many times, including her last name. So it's been pretty, like, I mean, and it would be clear. It's like if you speak
Yeah.
English, you know what they're saying. It's not like you have to go, well, that could be something else. Like you hear it, you know
No,
what they're
it's
saying.
clear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
I really enjoy the spirit box, and
Yes.
and I mean those were clear, intelligent responses, multiple occasions
Absolutely.
there, and then again, of course, backing that up with uh, saying agitated on both the app and on there. That's really cool
Yes.
capture.
Really cool. Yeah.
Um, let's see here. The next one we have is Matthew Perry.
Okay, so this one, my husband was actually, it's right here. He was reading this book at the time. So he was kind of, and it was
Okay.
right after Matthew Perry's death, and he was kind of stuck on Matthew Perry. And then he had been watching this guy that his name is Huff something. I can't remember, but he's on
Oh yeah.
YouTube too. You know what I'm talking
Hmm.
about? Yeah.
Yeah.
So and he does like a lot of spirit box and portal box stuff. So we
Hmm.
got a portal box, and you just you just hook your spirit box up to it, and it's basically a little mini amplifier, and you kind of cancel out a lot of the noise. It's still a little bit of noise, but it's a lot of clearer responses.
Hmm.
And so out of a whim, he just goes, it's Matthew Perry here. And you hear a voice come through that sounds like his cadence. Like, you know how Matthew Perry's like, can
Uh
you
huh.
be any crazier? Can that
Uh
cadence?
huh.
And it sounds like his voice, and it sounds like that cadence. We could never figure out what it was saying, but tell me this doesn't sound like Matthew Perry.
All right.
There.
Can we ask our spirit guide to connect us to Matthew Perry? Matthew Perry. Talk to us.
You're coming in. Just speak a little clearer.
Kind of sounds like him.
Yeah, it did sound like him.
Okay, I'm gonna play that again because
Yeah.
that's You're
Crazy.
right. It's the cadence,
Yeah.
it almost the end part almost sounds something like it's saying something talking to me is what that
And you
kind of
know
sounds
that a lot of times they're really surprised that you're talking to them, and they will say stuff like, "Is that working? Is she like just questioning?" They'll talk to each other. It's really strange. Yeah.
I'll play that again.
You're there.
Can we ask our spirit guide to connect us to Matthew Perry? Matthew Perry. Talk to us.
You're coming in. Just speak a little clearer.
Kind of sounds like him.
Yeah, it did sound like him.
Yeah.
Wow. And what a random request.
You know, and Justin is full of those, because there's another time, and I actually posted this on my Facebook. It's in my videos somewhere on Facebook. But we had watched the day before, we had watched the movie Hook with Robin Williams, and we were playing around. We had just gotten the spirit portal, so we were playing around with that. And Justin says, "Is Robin Williams here?" And it says Bangarang, and it's so clear, and it sounds like Robin Williams's voice. I kid you not. That's why I'm completely fascinated. Like, it literally sounds like him saying Bangarang, and like, what? Like, how? So yeah, weird stuff, man. I don't know how fine the spirit were, the land, the, you know what I'm saying, the boundary
Yeah.
between us is, and maybe there is no boundary. Maybe it's everywhere present and nowhere absent, like the way the spirit of God would be whenever you're in spirit zone. Like, maybe it's like you can
Mhm.
be anywhere. Like, why are we not talking to famous people? Like, why do we think that we couldn't reach them if we're just not standing in their house, you know? Like,
Well,
maybe you
yeah, I
can reach them in
mean
your closet.
well, I mean, it's like the spirit of Al Capone. I mean, he's everywhere. I can't tell you how many
Yeah.
places you go to and everyone's like, "Oh, Al Capone's spirit was here." And so,
Right,
I
right.
mean,
Maybe he pops in and out. Maybe he's there all the time and he can be everywhere. It's a strange spirit world out there.
it is. I just don't think that the laws that we have here govern
Don't
what's
apply.
happening in the spirit world. Yeah. I
Totally.
mean, I
Because
think
even
there's
time.
rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Even time is just a human constraint. You know, time and space is a human constraint.
Mhm.
Once that's removed, how do we know that we're not in the past and in the present and in the middle and everywhere? I always found that like
Exactly.
to be totally fascinating. So
I agree. And Linda says here, it seems like the boundary is a matter of matching frequency. And
yeah,
I've heard people
yeah,
talk about that as well.
that
Just
makes total sense. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
And Mike Ricksecker, I've never heard anyone explain shadow figures as well as Mike Ricksecker. And, talking about sometimes the reason, because a lot of people tend to put a negative connotation on shadow figures
Right. Yeah.
and say that's always negative. And I don't think that's the case. It could
Right.
be a
Yeah.
frequency thing that we
Sure.
can't see. We
Yeah.
can't grasp all the colors or we just can't see in that certain
Exactly.
frequency. Yeah,
Exactly. I totally believe that. We just can't comprehend it here. It's too
that's what it
much for
is.
us to contain. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of
Um,
times if we don't understand something too, we automatically go, "Oh, that's evil." We don't understand it. It must be
mhm.
bad, you know?
Yeah,
That's a human condition too. Something you don't understand, you're just totally scared by it.
exactly. And no, Linda, to answer your question, no, Mike does not say that apparitions are shadow figures. Um, I heard somebody talking about apparitions that that an apparition, that there's a difference in a ghost and an apparition, and that an apparition is a spirit that we are able to actually identify. It'd be like an
Yeah.
apparition of Abraham Lincoln, or an
Right.
apparition
Yeah.
of, yeah, like, I guess if you were able to actually see and identify, well, like the person that you saw there at that
Right.
tavern, that would have been an actual
Absolutely.
apparition because it
Apparition.
was
Yeah.
identifiable. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
That's right.
um, but Candy, it has been just a true pleasure to
Yeah,
have you
it
on the
has.
show and to chat with
Thank
you.
you so much.
Yeah.
I
So,
appreciate it. I've been looking forward to it all week.
yeah. So, anything you've got coming up that you want to plug, and go ahead while you're doing that and plug your pages as well.
Okay. So my pages, you can usually find me if you look up my name, Kandi Thompson, on all platforms. Um, if you are, let's see, the only one that maybe you wouldn't be able to is, I'm not sure about TikTok. I think it is Paranormal Candy. But if you can't find it, just find me on Facebook, Kandi Thompson on Facebook. Um, I am going to be coming out with some more. Oh, I can't forget this. I'm actually having a show called oh my gosh, Brandon's gonna kill me. Spooky. Oh my goodness. Is Brandon on here tonight? He's not. Okay, so I'll get back with you on that. But I have a new show coming out with Brandon Bishop. I don't know if you know him or not. Do you know Brandon
I know the
Bishop?
name. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's a good friend of mine, and we are going to be traveling actually around the East Coast, and I'm going to do six
Nice.
episodes on Asai TV. And Spooky Travels is the name of it. It just popped in my mind. I'm so bad about this. I do weddings, and there's been times that I forget the people's name that I'm marrying, so so don't hold it against me. But it's been a long blank amount of years around the sun. But Spooky Travels is going to be coming on Asy TV. That's ASY TV. And we're going to do about 6 episodes per year. I haven't decided where we're going to do these first 3 coming up, but I'll let you guys know on my Facebook. If you'll just add me there, send me a message, and I can send you all the links to my other stuff. My channel, I'll actually be putting up a new ghost episode on my YouTube channel in about 2 weeks, maybe a week or 2 weeks. Just keep going back and looking, and go and subscribe and hit the notifications bell, and that way you won't miss anything. And I think that's about it. I think I've covered all bases. We're doing another movie with Diggin' Funky, of course, Showdown in Secret City. So just keep your eyes peeled for that too. And like I said, if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram or anywhere, I'll keep posting updates and stuff like that. And definitely follow my YouTube channel.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, and we've got those links there. I've put a couple in here with Asai TV, as well as Paranormal Candy there on TikTok. So if you're looking for some really cool content, especially ones that, again, you don't have to sit and commit hours of your time to, definitely go check out
Yes.
Candy stuff. She's got some great content on there and some great
It's
evidence. So
ADHD friendly.
there you go. I like that.
Yes. And
I
time
like that.
constraint friendly. If you're just
Exactly.
pressed for time. Watch me while
Exactly.
you're on the toilet. It'll be great.
And guys, definitely tune in next week. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're already here in September. Next week,
Yes.
we
The
will
spooky
have,
time of year.
exactly, it's the best time of year. Yes, I will have Joseph SQ on my show. We're going to be digging in deep. He's got some amazing theories on what we're communicating with here in the paranormal. We'll be talking about all things supernatural. I met him at a convention up in Kentucky. It was great to just sit and chat with him. So, only natural to invite him to be a guest on my show. So we're going to have him on next week. Hope you guys will definitely tune in for that. And like I said at the top of the hour when we were talking, I hope that you will tune in and watch Haunted Discoveries this coming Saturday. If you have any questions about how to get Haunt TV, it's an app. If you've got a smart TV, you can download Sling, which is a free TV there. So you can download Sling TV and pull up Haunt TV there, and Haunted Discoveries, 6:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, their investigation of the historic Scott County Jail. So hopefully you'll tune in and watch that as well. So so if I don't see you guys before next Thursday night, I hope you have a wonderful and blessed week. And again, thank you all so much for tuning in. So thank you, Kandi.
Thank you.
All right. Good night, everyone.